Hello, I'm your host, Effie Pilarino, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Frank Schwab, who has been a FinTech veteran at least over the past decade that I've been focused on FinTech. First of all, let me welcome you, Frank, and thanks for joining.
Hi, Effie. Good afternoon, or at my time zone, it's good evening.
Yeah, and we're both not in our bases, right? I'm in New York and you're in Bahrain. And I must say that, when I started my laser focus on fintech, which was 2015, I started blogging on Daily FinTech, and you were already ahead in terms of sharing thought leadership in that space as a co-founder of FinTech Forum. We were few, I must say, at that time, right? So we knew each other, we would read each other, and it was exciting, I find, because I felt that I kind of knew or could reach out to everybody in the space, and that's not the case anymore, right?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I started FinTech Forum in 2013, in August 2013. The co-founder with Samad, it was his idea. He came from an inner tribe, let's say, session, and he said something like that. It does just not exist in Germany. And even at that time, the word FinTech wasn't around. At that point in time, it was still called Banking 2.0 due to the social media hype at that point in time. And so we basically just started this FinTech Forum with a first event, just a couple of people. And actually, even out of Germany, there was not a single investor joining our first. There were just no investors existing at that point in time investing in fintech in Germany. So that's really funny, and now the world is so different.
Now the world is so different, and I mean we've seen substantial cohort of fintechs that have grown out of Germany. And now, Frank, you are deeply involved in being on supervisory, and I like to hear a little bit more about that. What kind of companies do you tend to advise and help them in their journey, both in terms of their focus area, what subvertical, and also is there a geographic focus? I understand
Right.
that lately you're a lot in the Middle East. So tell us a little bit about where you're at today.
Yeah, that's I think unbelievable. And it still relates to FinTech Forum. When I started FinTech Forum, it was for early stage fintechs. The idea was that 10 years later, I sit on some of these fintechs in their supervisory board. So that was the idea. Actually, it turned out at least for one, which was sold to a very traditional asset manager. But so coming back to your question, somehow it developed like that outside Germany, I got the offer to help Gulf International Bank here in Bahrain, actually a bank who is a wholesale bank and distributed all over the Gulf states as well as New York and London to further develop their innovation, digitalization, and retail strategy. I'm sitting on the board of a Vienna-based Eastern Europe bank, which is more consumer. Traditionally, it was a universal bank, and we somehow focused the bank to being a consumer finance bank, also based on API and open banking. I'm also sitting at a supervisory board of Haug and Aufhäuser Innovative Capital. That's a subsidiary of the asset manager bank Haug and Aufhäuser. And Innovative Capital basically means they set up the first German bit and also the first German cryptocurrency fund in Germany, lately also in Luxembourg. So The question is, what is the common theme? The common theme is basically the intersection of banking, technology, and innovation. So my role within a supervisory board or as member of the board of directors will always be in the sphere of technology, innovation, transformation. However, I'm also part of the audit committee, risk committee, and the very traditional, let's say, functions.
Yeah, because of your background, but also, you have this experience, and lately I've seen that you've been sharing some interesting case studies. So you're basically, I don't know if all these are projects that you're involved in or, directly
No,
or indirectly.
yeah. So on top of my supervisory board roles, I selectively help banks to advise them on their transformation journeys, sometimes from core banking system, sometimes from, let's say, system landscape transformation, how that ultimately will relate in business success. And one of these assignments was the large Spanish bank. And I'm always sitting between the McKinseys or Boston Consulting Groups or Deloitte's and the board. so the management board, as somebody who has practical experience. And then I learned that while I expected the consultants to come in with a lot of case studies, they actually did come not with case studies. They somehow analyzed a lot of things, but I thought, okay, how the hell we can learn from what they bring? And then it turned out there were not a lot of reference cases, because if you want to do a transformation successfully, because many transformations actually fail in delivering the value which was expected.
And sorry, Frank, I've been reading that the consultants themselves, like the BCGs of the world, admit that the most, a large percentage of transformation journeys fail. And it's like, wait a minute, aren't you responsible for that?
Yeah, exactly. And they did not come with reference cases and learnings out of their previous experiences. And that brought me to the idea, okay, if they don't do it, I will do it. So I'm not involved in these cases. How? Because that would be in conflict of
Yeah,
interest, and I would
yeah.
probably be soon in trouble, even if I would only use public information. And I only use public information, and usually I look very deep into the annual reports and the investor presentations. And then I try to link, let's say, where are the areas they did progress. And then I look at the hardcore numbers, like cost income ratio. Because it's great that you're saying, oh, let's do a digital transformation. But in the end of the day, if you don't change your cost income ratio,
Yeah.
especially if you come from a high cost income ratio in the 60s, 70s, then what did you do? And I look for not only a period of 1 or 2 years, I usually look at a period of minimum of 7 years, because, and ideally 3 years before the transformation, then during the transformation, then 1, 2, 3 years after the transformation.
Yeah.
Because then you get a proper, very objective, facts and numbers driven perspective on what was presented and how that translate in measurable, tangible business results. So, and
Frank, give us some names of the
yeah,
studies that you've
yeah,
done, and I think some of them are not even publicly traded companies, right?
yeah. They're not publicly traded companies. However, as a bank, you need to publish your balance sheet and your annual report. So the information is available. So I started with a very striking German, actually more European example, which is Advanzia Bank, which is a niche bank where 200 people achieve on a regular basis 100 million euro on profits with running a niche digital strategy 80% based on simple credit cards. So,
Okay.
so I found that very striking because usually you would argue that in retail banking you need to get a large chunk of share of wallet and you have hook products like credit card and then you do cross sell and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, by now they do more than credit card, but that's really the core of the overall business where they were born, and they do amazing results with cost income ratio under 40%, which is a huge achievement if you compare it with the German average, which is something around 75%, right? I also have shared some more international examples like Sohar International Bank, that's an Oman-based bank. There you can see that during their digital journey, they also acquired and merged with another large local player. So it was very interesting to see how to balance an M&A and a digital journey. Somehow they mastered both, especially if you look at their credit and deposit volumes, which outperformed, let's say, the Oman average. And that's the other thing which I look at. I look how well does the bank do against the own local market.
Local market.
Right? Because then that's the next very objective thing where you can say, okay, if for 6 years they outperform the volumes, the volume growth of deposits and credits, and especially in retail, right? Or even in wholesale. These are very important, let's say, measures in order to drive your profit. That gives you some very good ideas. And I lately reviewed Charles Schwab. I'm not linked to it, but it's a great case as well. Actually, they are not doing so well. That basically means you can't really see any effect of their digital transformation or digital journey against the numbers they provide, while they also had a huge M&A, right, with Amitrade. So I publish every Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the month. So, and there are another 10 cases in preparation. So if everything goes as I like, you will have the opportunity to look at one case each month going forward.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's also a huge learning experience, not only looking at the transformations I'm involved, but also looking what others have done and, let's say, how the results are reflected in the numbers.
Yeah, interesting. You've written a book, Frank, on
You contributed.
Yeah. And I say that because, maybe soon your case studies could become a book, and I'm sure it would have a lot of value, even though, things change, but still the learnings are there. And we do lack these kinds of case studies clearly. What are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies? And I'm very interested because you are in the traditional world of banking. You do work in innovation. You do have a financial background, not a pure techie background. What are your thoughts on the state of the market, on the opportunity?
Yeah. So I came across Bitcoin and Ripple in 2013 when I joined Fedor Bank. Some may remember that was the first neobank.
I remember that very
Yeah.
well. Well, I
So
was trying to understand what Fido was all about. It was really disruptive and innovative for that time.
yeah, and in that time, Fedor already backed the German Bitcoin platform Bitcoin DE. So the banking license of Fedor was basically lent to Bitcoin DE because to trading Bitcoin in Germany, you need a banking license. So it was Fedor Bank's banking license they are traded on. And actually, we developed, and that's why I was exposed to the scene. And then I said, okay, I need to buy that stuff and try it out by myself. And also we did the very first Ripple integration of a licensed bank in 2013, right?
Oh,
Where Ripple was just, I don't know, 2 years around or something like that, or 1 year around. And this is how I came to crypto. And over time, to me, so I also worked in the derivatives world at Deutsche Bank.
okay.
I also did develop structured derivative products for FX, so barriers and stuff like that, right? And my learning at 2013 from the financial world was always the banking industry adds up new products all the time. That's how I look at banking. Rarely you lose an instrument or a product. Checks are gone in Germany. Checks still exist in the US. And even in Germany, sometimes you will have checks. So while a lot of things change, the financial industry always add up new instruments and products. And to me, the cryptocurrency is just another new product. So I don't believe that crypto will change the whole world of money and the whole world of banking. That's I don't believe. But I believe they will get their significant share because they fulfill a rule. There is reason to have it. And if I'm not, that was my thinking 10 years ago. That's why I did not invest, but I did buy just to understand all of this and to have a first-hand experience. I kept it. I never sold it, so that was good. That was the good part.
That was
and now I even think, and nobody thought about this 10 years ago, about the geopolitical changes we are currently seeing. If you think about Bitcoin these days, it's the only global currency, or it's not really a currency, it's more an asset, but you can use it as a currency to some extent, especially for high value transactions. And it's the only global currency who all parties accept anymore.
yeah.
Because with US sanctions, right?
Yeah.
A part of the world is out of the financial system.
Yeah. Plus, with the fact that a large part of the population of the world lives under what we call undemocratic regimes, lives in economic regimes with very high inflation. So they have traditionally needed and wanted US dollars, and now they can fulfill that the limited supply and there's more demand, right, through by buying Bitcoin, and it's just as you said, it has geopolitical meaning, and I like to say that one has to understand Bitcoin as an example. It's broader than money, it's broader than payments, it's broader than store of value. It has socioeconomic importance, and this I think that it is one major innovation, because suddenly we do have this convergence of socioeconomic trends with technology, and how to power economic activity in this way, and that is exciting. I
Yeah.
would.
So in a nutshell, it will not go away. It's here to stay. It's here to stay. Of course, not all cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of junk out there. However, let's say also the underlying technology, the blockchain technology, and the further developments where you can make money programmable. That's a new feature for money, which was not around before, and we will make use of it going forward.
Yes,
It will take time, but it's in a digital age, you need digital money, and today's money is not digital.
yeah, yeah. It's
That's
not
how it is.
natively digital, and I know that it's difficult for the average person to understand that because they think that money is digital, but it's not digital behind the scenes, and that's the exciting. Frank, I want to ask you before closing what you're excited about in terms of, we're in a journey, a continuous journey of transformation. There's always been hypes and, cycles. What are you excited about right now and with the horizon of the next 2 or 3 years?
Yeah. So for me, of course, everybody talks about AI these days, and I'm using tools 1 or 2 hours each day for the last 6 to 8 months. And I also would argue they are great tools. However, if I look from a business perspective, if I look at the underlying systems of the banking industry and the data quality, we are just not prepared for that. So it's unbelievable. So I get really excited about doing now the homework of transformation to enable us going forward to make these new tools really available, so that they also then produce great results. Because two thoughts: a fool with a tool is still a fool, and rubbish in, rubbish out.
Yeah.
So if you put in rubbish data into any AI model, you will get rubbish outcome. And we are not as advanced as we think, and the models are not as advanced. They rely on very, let's say, high quality data. Only then they can produce proper results. And that's not here yet. And I like these kind of challenges to fix these problems. But that's more than 2 to 3 years. I personally believe that's another mega trend. The transformation will never end. That's why I call my case studies journeys. There is no end point, right? And I'm excited about, let's say, the management of and the execution of the transformation. Because in the end of the day, it's about really get, let's say, your data quality and the access to your data right, and then you can start implementing
Leveraging these tools.
proper tools on top of that. So, and that's really interesting. Let's say, of course, there are other trends on the horizon with quantum computing, but I probably think it's too early to be too excited about them.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm hearing from you, and I would confirm that view, that because of the buy-in in the potential of generative AI, it seems that financial services will be at last forced to get their house in order in terms of data architecture. I like to call it like that, to prepare to unlock that value. And as you said, it will probably take a couple of years to do that, but at least it seems that now most financial services believe that they have to do it. It's really truly an existential threat. There's no, kicking the can down the road, and they have to and that's a great thing. It's like COVID had a blessing aspect to it, right? And this general purpose technology has this other blessing aspect on the industry as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. Because let's say having the data architecture plus the quality, right? Because
yeah.
if you're in the audit committees and in the risk committee of banks, you will see the status of the data quality in form of audit points and stuff like that. And if you look at the public fines of regulators to neobanks when it comes to data, it's even the neobanks have huge challenges to get it right. So it's not only a legacy problem or challenge, it's basically an industry problem and challenge. And as you said, get the house in order first. And the ones who are doing that very well and then implementing the tools will have significant competitive advantage. That's that's for sure from my perspective.
Yeah.
And we will see the one or the other winner, like we have seen. So I have one example for the German banking landscape. So 30 years ago, ING in Germany was just not existing. Now ING in Germany owns 10 million retail banking customers and makes a solid profit of 1 billion euro a year. And that's for the last 5 to 10 years. And with 20, 30 years ago, more than 5,000 German banks, the market was very populated already with 5,000 banks, right, at that point in time. So to me, ING is the only bank in Germany who really took competitive advantage of the internet. Okay. Of course, the others have built their internet capabilities as well, but all others have lost market share. And they have taken it. 10 million clients. That's a lot.
Yeah, in a saturated market, as you said, they entered and were able to take substantial share.
And I think AI can. So the one bank who does it with high skills, we may see an example like that. Maybe not in Germany necessarily, but somewhere else.
Yeah. So basically, this transition from the digital mobile banking that we have examples. I mean, and Brazil is a great example too, right? And, we have Nubank now being the third by market cap bank, compared to giants there. And now the question is, will intelligent banking, because that's where we're moving, enable some players to really take advantage and grab market share, not only of the underserved, but the overbanked, basically, right?
That's my assumption. It may take 5 to 8 years. It will not be. So it took Nubank as well as Revolut also roughly 10 years, 8 to 10 years. And probably we don't know the bank yet who will be the one where we talk about in 10 years from now. But I'm totally sure there will be some reference banks who have done it.
Yeah. I agree that this next wave of disruptors may most probably not be the current grown-up fintechs that have succeeded in the previous phase. It might be a new entity and what I like to call an outsider, like completely.
However, if I would bet on one, I would bet on Revolut, given they have probably one of the best technology stacks, and that's a prerequisite to succeed on implementing AI. And this is a huge advantage over legacy banks. But of course, there may be new players who really come from the data architecture, then putting AI on the top, and then probably, if they get it right and they can generate great offers, a great convenience, then of course even the new fintech neobanks may have very, very strong competition.
Yeah. Frank, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. I'm sure we could be speaking for hours. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
Yeah, it was my pleasure, Effie. Thank you for the invite.